Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to something stylistically a little bit different, but thematically pretty much the same as all of my other content. I love a bargain. You love a bargain. We all love a bargain. We all love to feel like we're getting a deal, like we got one up on the world, like we paid less than everybody else for the same thing. And that applies in all areas of my own life, whether I'm buying a car or I'm at the supermarket, whatever, doesn't matter. I love to get a deal. Today, I'll show you what I think might be one of the best deals at the moment on a lightly used luxury watch. Now, I have spent decent money on a few different watches over the last few years. Not silly money, not Rolex money, but a few grand. And to help me feel like I was getting a deal, I've always bought lightly used. Some watches appreciate when you leave the showroom, but most of them don't. Most of them hold their value exceptionally well these days, but some of them don't. And there seems to be one Tudor model, a new model at that, released at Baselworld 2022, that perhaps didn't set the world alight then and is available for close to 40% off the RRP if you're prepared to buy one slightly used. That watch is the Tudor Ranger. The current RRP of the Ranger here in Australia is 4,890 Aussie dollars on a bracelet. However, a quick search on the many Facebook watch groups that I'm a member of reveals multiple Rangers in as new condition floating around the $3,000 mark. That's nearly $2,000 off the RRP, very close to a 40% discount on a relatively new release from arguably the hottest luxury watch brand of the last 5 years. That is way bigger a discount than you'll get on any other Tudor model, by the way. Used prices of Black Bay 54s are really strong, only a few $100s off the RRP. So why is this the case? What is wrong with the Tudor Ranger? When Tudor relaunched the revamped Ranger reference 79950 in the middle of 2022, the world collectively shrugged. Tudor were on a really hot streak with watches like the Black Bay GMT, the Black Bay 58 and the Black Bay Chrono, all encouraging collectors to open their wallets and part with large sums of money. When all of those watches came out, they could be flipped for a profit because they were really hard to get and because everybody wanted to get them. The Ranger, not so much. It just didn't seem to resonate with collectors in a way that those other new release Tudors had. Now, I don't think that's because it's a bad watch per se, because it isn't. It's a great watch. The case is identical to the one found on the Black Bay 58, so it wears beautifully, but it's all brushed, so it will actually wear beautifully. Same spelling, different meaning, by the way. The in-house cost-certified Tudor caliber, the MT5402, is the same as the one in the Black Bay 58. And unlike the Black Bay 58, the Ranger features Tudor's new T-Fit clasp, which I think is the best adjustable clasp in the business at the moment. There has been much written about Tudor being the new Rolex, perhaps unsurprisingly because they're both owned by the same parent company. Rolex used to be the attainable luxury status symbol. If you worked hard, maybe one day you would be able to afford to have a nice watch, a Rolex on your wrist, to show people the fruits of your endeavours. Nowadays, even the most basic Rolex is going to cost you 10,000 Australian dollars, and you can't actually buy one without filleting your local AD for 12 months straight. Plus, given who is actually wearing the brand these days and why they are wearing them, far more to flex their wealth rather than any great love of horology, do you actually want a Rolex anyway? Enter Tudor, a brand you can actually still buy if you want one. Perhaps not this year's releases admittedly, but their showrooms aren't bereft of models like a Rolex showroom is. And a brand that's still treading the fine line of being luxurious while still being relatively attainable. I'm not saying their watches are cheap, but they're not beyond the realms of possibility for that same person who worked hard and wanted their watch to reflect that fact. The Ranger is the natural alternative / substitute for the Rolex Explorer. A simple 3-hand, no date, 369, or in this case 36912, Arabic numeral dialed watch with a screw down crown, a decent level of water resistance, lume on the dial, the hands, etc, etc, etc. So why don't people covet the Ranger in the way that they covet the Explorer? You tell me, leave me a comment, what are your thoughts? why didn't the Ranger catch the imagination like some of Tudor's other models did? I think it looks a bit plain with its simple printed dial and its all brush finish. At the time of the release, people did say rather unflattering things about the hour hand, but I think that was probably overstated. Perhaps it's hard to get people to spend money on a watch that is essentially a bezel-less diver for $5,000 when they can buy the sister watch, the actual diver with a lot more character, for only 20% more. I mean, there is no doubt that when you put the Ranger next to the 58, it definitely looks plainer and less interesting. And when you start to bring in other members of the Tudor range that cost a little bit more, but not a lot more money, then it looks even plainer still. But sometimes plain is okay. A watch doesn't have to be flashy. A watch doesn't have to be fancy, especially not this type of tool watch. It's not supposed to be flashy or fancy. It's supposed to be understated. It's supposed to be subdued. It's supposed to fly a little bit under the radar. And I have always admired this current model Tudor Ranger for exactly those reasons. A beautifully made, beautifully finished watch from one of the best Swiss watch brands that doesn't make you feel like an ostentatious dick when you're wearing it. And it may well be the biggest used luxury bargain of 2024 to boot. So please buy them all before I do, because as discussed, I can't resist a deal. So there you have it, something a bit different today. If you're in the mood for even more Tudor centered different, try this one or this one. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. I'll see you again in the next one.